Yokai and human fusions are the ideal way you gain power in DanDaDan. Prediction. DanDaDan is a series taking the anime community by storm, especially with its cute moments of romance and action. But the main intrigue is its deep character writing for me, and how the yokai symbolize their past lives of what happened to them and why they don't want it to happen to other people. That's why I feel connections and bonds with some of these yokais, and that's why it causes pain when they perish. There are also others that attack people to protect others. The main reason we see is Turbo Granny, who attacked Okarun, assuming he was a guy that was trying to hurt females. We see she went and took his balls, symbolizing something deeper within her, something that had happened in her past. Not only that, she went over to save Momo, showing that these yokais have caring hearts. Before I begin, I would appreciate if you guys would like, subscribe for more anime, manga, and in general fictional content every 2 days. As you can see, I'm talking about DanDaDan today, and will be diversifying my content to talk about more anime and manga than are Dragon Ball and One Piece that I've been talking about recently. I enjoy talking about fictional work in general, so once I'm able to solidify myself, I can get into cartoons and books or movies as well. And with that, I hope y'all enjoy. DanDaDan is a comedic anime that's very messy but entertaining, especially with its deeper writing. But one thing I haven't been hearing about it is its power system. One that I genuinely am very curious about, and one that's not really explained too well, but one that makes me want to pay attention and understand it more, because genuinely it does seem very cool and I want to understand it more. So in DanDaDan, there's a thing called human and yokai fusions. Now, at first we didn't understand it. We don't really understand it to this point, actually. We just assume by how he's writing the manga that there are special abilities that come with them, but we don't truly understand how these yokais are able to give these humans the ability. The only one we know 100% sure is what I'm going to be talking about today, and that's the perfect fusion. I call it the perfect fusion, or because the yokais give their life to the human to protect the human. But I will be going on that later. The first instance of a fusion we see is when Turbo Granny gave Ken Takakura a curse. We see this in the beginning of the series when he has the Turbo Granny hair and Turbo Granny mask. And he looks like Turbo Granny, but she got rid of his balls. Of course, this is the weakest one of the bunch, since it didn't really have any feats and it didn't really do anything impressive unless it had Momo using it to control its abilities and calm it down. This was a curse given to Ken after he went into an underground road. We don't see this form much. What we do see is Turbo Granny using this form to defeat the alien Serpo from the first chapter that we see, that truly made us all uncomfortable, but that makes sense with the writing of the series and what the deeper meaning he has within it. The next form shown is the one that we see throughout the series. While it is still a curse, it is one in which Turbo Granny had removed his balls in order to give him this amp. Of course, she only did it to live, and she wanted to give stakes to not only protect herself, but make sure that nothing goes wrong genuinely with Ken. We know that this is something deeper because Turbo Granny was fused with another yokai, and that other yokai was a bunch of girls who were attacked by men. This is why she takes away Okarun's balls, or Ken's balls, whichever you want to say it. I'm going to say Ken. This form seemed more powerful than the one prior because Ken was able to use it, but he had to evolve and grow through this form for it to be able to catch up to the other. This also shows that there's an evolution with the yokais as well. Throughout the series, Turbo Granny was opening up to the main cast. While this happened, Ken was continuing to grow in strength. This makes me believe that if a yokai and a person have a deeper connection, they will be stronger. Now, while there's nothing that completely verifies that argument, it would make sense for this series. Now, while the argument could be said that, hey, this is the most complex power system, so maybe the author didn't think about it, I still think there's a deeper connection within human and yokais and how that can make someone's strength increase compared if they didn't have a connection. Now, while there is no proper name to this next form I'm going to be talking about, I just like to call it true fusion because the yokai gives their life to the person. The third version is one I explained earlier, is when a yokai gives their life to a human and the human gains the abilities of yokai. The first instance we see of this is Aria. You see, there's something special about this version of the fusion because it can revive people from death and give them everything. But to revive them, they would have to expend their life. In general, this fusion would just need the yokai to expend their life anyways, which I do predict will happen in the future with Ken and Turbo Granny. Reviving people from death is such a strong ability. Not even aliens know what to do to combat that. The closest they've gone is a major fatal injury, and then they can revive someone from that, which we see later on in a future arc. I will be not going too in deep into it because it is my favorite arc in the whole series, and I don't want people to get spoiled by it. So before I get into true spoiler territory, please make sure to click off the video. Anyways, where I was at, I was explaining that Aria was given her life by her yokai named Silky. And while Silky isn't very powerful, we know this because Seiko Ayase wasn't really worried about this yokai and left it to the kids. Usually when there's a huge threat of a yokai, she would take care of it or she would warn them, hey, don't mess with this one, which happens later on in DanDaDan. But with Silky, there was no real threat. The fact that Ken and Momo could defeat it by themselves shows me that Silky wasn't very powerful to begin with. Yet Aria, after Silky gave her her life, became so strong that she caught up to Ken's strength. Keep in mind, Ken has a fusion with Turbo Granny, and Turbo Granny is one of the stronger yokais in the series. We know this because every time she talks about herself, she's gloating about how her strength and speed are so much higher than everybody else's. Not only this, but Seiko Ayase also makes some statements that means Turbo Granny is strong. So the fact Aria was able to keep up, not only keep up, but she was able to overpower Ken. We know this because in the later arc, Ken is needing to train to catch up to Aria's speed and strength. So the fact she was able to catch up because of the true fusion of her and Silky, and that Silky gave her her life, shows me that if a yokai gives a person their life, the person will have a stronger amp. We see throughout the series that there are yokai that are much stronger than Silky throughout the show. Ones not even Seiko could defeat. Not only this, but she always warns them about yokai that could be coming and how to deal with them, or just not to fight with them at all because they could be too strong for them. The main reason Gigi and Evil Eye are stronger than Aria with Silky is because Gigi is physically gifted. He is able to learn things really fast. He just has this latent potential that genuinely, if he focuses on it and he bonds with Evil Eye, he could be the strongest in the series. So physical traits are also a part of yokai's strength because Gigi has insane strength, but not only that, but Evil Eye is also insanely strong. Of course, what I'm getting with this is if a human and a yokai bond together to make the true fusion that I'm going to be naming, because there's no real name that clarifies it. So if Turbo Granny gives her life to Ken to give him this amp to protect people, that would mean he would be such a high level of strength, because from where we are right now, Ken is physically gifted. He's been training and even recently had a pretty decent feat against someone without even Turbo Granny. Of course, there's other ways you can get strength. We know that Kenta, Momo, and Seiko are all spirit mediums. Kenta, he has a special type of spirit medium because, giant Megazord. And then Momo and Seiko are more casual spirit mediums where they fight spirits. They fight yokais with their abilities. With this, I predict that Turbo Granny and Ken Takakura will fuse for a stronger threat. We don't know what that threat is, but I do predict it's either going to happen in this arc or the next arc. Because right now we know that Momo is practically gone. She is in a doll. She's very small. She's very not effective. So my prediction is that there's going to be a fight where the whole group loses. And Ken needs to have Turbo Granny's powers back. Turbo Granny has already been with the crew, and while she is very marketable, I do expect her to pass away and give her life again. Of course, this is more towards the climax of the series, which could be at any time, but we don't really have a conclusive time slot to when it's gonna end, anyways. We just know from how the story's developing that something serious is gonna happen that would make it deeper. We want to know what happened to Turbo Granny fully. We want to know her backstory. We want to know why she hates men so much. Now we do get an idea, but we would like to understand her character even more. That's what makes this very interesting, and that's why I predict that it's gonna happen when she gives her life for Ken. Now, where we are right now, it seems like the author is telling us that hey, Turbo Granny never liked the group. But I find that hard to believe after everything they've gone through. Turbo Granny has basically become very close friends with Granny Seiko, or Seiko ISA. So it just shows me that something's going to happen with her and Ken, and that really they won't be inseparable for that long. From all that we've seen, this is truly the best possible outcome that's going to happen in the series. I believe yokai and human fusion where the yokai perishes is what's gonna happen and is gonna be the next level for these characters. It would also bring us a deeper feeling with these characters that we wonder about. We wonder about Evil Eye. We know a little bit of his character details, but we really don't know deep about him, and we also don't know much about Turbo Granny. We just know that she hates men for what they've done. But I want to see her backstory. I want to see her additional part that makes us enjoy her. That's why these characters can be such powerful characters. That's why I believe DanDaDan could be exceed the levels that they're at right now. That's why I genuinely predict that Aria's fusion is the one that everybody's gonna get because they're gonna connect with the characters and grow in strength. We will also get to learn their backstories, so everybody's going to enjoy these characters even more. This is a massive reason why I want it, to be honest, because I genuinely want to know more about these characters, and they will become more beloved. We saw recently that Silky became a beloved yokai because of what happened in her past with her and her child, relating it to Aria, and why a lot of anime watchers really like that episode. I could see something deeper coming with Turbo Granny, which adds to her character and makes it honestly very, very good. So yeah, that's my prediction for what I see coming for DanDaDan. If you have any comments about what you think is going to happen, and if you just think I'm just an idiot who's not paying attention to the series, then let me know. I've been reading it for a while. I'm practically caught up to the series at this point, and would just like to have general conversation with you. Lastly, before I go, Reen sucks. Her character is awful. As much as I hate Kenta, Reen is much worse. See ya.